Well, there's plenty of stories, whether you look internationally or domestically in the United States, and sometimes it's not easy to separate fact from fiction in US politics. This week, there was a story swirling about that Michelle Obama would take over from Joe Biden. We'll get to that story a little later, but let's head to the United States. And joining me is the Boston Globe Deputy DC Bureau Chief, Kopan. Good morning, our time. Welcome to the program. And of course, this is, we've just seen the story of the 3 killed US servicemen. It's a huge story, and particularly for the President, Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. The conflict that has broken out in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas, which sort of seemingly by the day threatens to spiral into a broader conflict, has really become a really all-consuming force in domestic politics. When the president travels, he's being greeted by protesters who, in large part, are mostly supporting Palestinian rights and criticizing his support of Israel. But we've seen also Biden being a little bit sort of more critical of Israel than we have in recent days, including sanctioning some settlers for violence in the West Bank. So you're really seeing Biden trying to kind of thread this needle. But now that you have attacks by proxies believed to be connected to Iran, there's a very delicate balance of response and also risk of further conflagration in the Middle East, which no one wants.
Absolutely. Now, we've got some live pictures there of Joe Biden in Delaware, but he has been campaigning in Michigan, and it's interesting. Michigan, of course, was one of those very important states in the last election. High numbers of Arab Americans in Michigan, and there were protests when he was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Arab community in Michigan has really put Biden on notice. It's a very complicated state. It's a blue collar state. President Biden just won the endorsement of a very powerful union that represents auto workers. Michigan is sort of ground zero for auto manufacturing in the US. So that's a critical endorsement that helps in the state. But then you have the Arab community. There's also a Jewish community in Michigan. I mean, there are a lot of different constituencies, a large number of Black voters in Michigan that Biden is trying to reach. And it is one of the very small handful of states that can tip the balance of the election, thanks to our electoral college system here in the States. There are a few where even a swing of 10, 20,000 voters can tip the balance of the entire presidential race. And so it's definitely a state we would expect both campaigns, the presumed nominees, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, to pay a lot of attention to. And recent polling in the state has not been good for Joe Biden. And that's not entirely just the Arab community. I mean, it's sort of all of the above constituencies coming together. So that's a place that he's going to need to show up support if he wants to get another term in office.